Hey, gang, it's Jimmie with Arkansas First News coming to you with facts, not fiction. I get so many questions about the Arkansas Freedom of Information Act that I thought we'd do a series just kind of explaining it. And what I want to start with tonight is how do you submit a Freedom of Information request? I think people get intimidated to do it and think it's really hard, and it's not. It doesn't get any simpler, as a matter of fact. It's just as easy as it can be. Any citizen can make a request. That's all you're required is to be a citizen of the state. That's it. And you can make that request in person. You can do it by phone. You can write a letter. You can do it by email or any electronic means for that matter. Now, I highly recommend doing it by email, and I'm going to explain why here just shortly. So, what I've done is I've got three requests that I've sent in the past that I want to use as an example. And so I'm pulling those up. Give me just a second. We'll try it again. Okay. All right. So this first request is one I sent to the West Memphis School District Superintendent Eric Morster back in January. And the reason I sent it to the superintendent is because he's kind of the chief administrative officer of the organization. And so that's the thing. You want to send your request to the custodian of the records. Now, under the law, that is defined as the person holding the administrative control of that record. Now, obviously, at the school district, there may be several people that have these records, but you want to make sure it's to the ultimate custodian. So that would be the superintendent. So, like with a municipality, you want to send it to the mayor. Now, you may want to copy the city attorney or copy someone in the department where it applies, but you want to send it to the head. So the municipality would be the mayor, county, of course, the county judge. When you get into state agencies, the director or secretary of that agency, and so on. So in this particular request, I start out by saying, under the Arkansas Freedom of Information Act, I request an electronic form via email the following. That one sentence is so important. So many people try to put so much in the FOI request on how they're doing it. And all you have to do is do that one sentence. And I'll tell you why that's important. The reason you say an electronic form via email is because if you do that, that's how they have to supply it to you. If you simply ask for copies, then they can print out paper copies and they can charge you for that. Okay. When you make clear you want it in electronic form via email, state law says they have to provide that to you that way at no charge. So that's why it's so important. That's the whole thing, that one little sentence. Now, when you put that sentence in, you say the following, okay? And so when you make a request, you can ask for more records than just one in a request. So if you see here, I'm basically asking for two records. So I'm making actually two requests in this email. Okay, the first one is all contracts and agreements with Great Rivers Education Services Cooperative. Okay, that's one request. The next request is all contracts and agreements with Murdoch Enterprises. That's another request. Okay, so you can ask for multiple requests in one email. So let me scroll over here and let's see if we can scroll down a little bit. Get to the next one. Okay, this one is pretty interesting. This one I sent to Colonel Mike Hager, who's the secretary of the Arkansas Department of Public Safety and the colonel and director of the Arkansas State Police. If you guys remember, about a year and a half ago, tragedy, Brian Malinowski, who was the director of the Little Rock Airport, was shot and killed in his home during an ATF raid at his home to serve a search warrant. made national news, big deal, right? And so back in June of 2024, I sent Colonel Hager a request for the investigation file. The Arkansas State Police did an investigation into that shooting. Okay. And so obviously I went under the Arkansas Freedom of Information Act. I requested an electronic form via email, the investigation file into the death of Brian Malinowski. Okay. That's a very short 3-line request to get a huge investigation file. Do you see how simple that was, though? You don't have to jump through hoops. It's just that simple. And they had to, and they sent me the entire investigation file into the death. Let's see here. Let me scroll down just a little more. We'll get one more in here so you can kind of see. This one gets a little more, I had to get a little more in depth to get across what I wanted. This is to Jared Cleveland, who is the superintendent of schools at the Springdale School District, the largest school district in the state. And of course, I do my little one sentence, request electronic form via email, all rules, policies, state laws that allow the district to use Fund 2000 operating funds for legal services pertaining to educator ethics complaints filed against school district employees holding state educator licenses with the Professional Licensure Standard Board. Now, that's pretty specific, and there's a reason it's specific. We're going to talk about that here just shortly, but you want to make clear what you want in the request, okay? So those give you just an idea of what to put in the request. It couldn't be any simpler. Now, timelines, okay? When you send the request, okay, what do you expect in response and timelines of getting the record? Okay, the law says that if the records you asked for or not in use or not in storage and readily available, then they should give them to you immediately. Theoretically, they should give them to you that day. Okay. Now, the law also says is if the records you requested are in use or in storage, then the custodian needs to give you that certification of that in writing, along with a date and time within 3 working days, that the records will be available for disclosure. So basically what it's saying is if they're not in use or in storage, they need to give it to you right away. But if they are in use or in storage, they have to give them to you within 3 business days of that. Now, that response comes with a lot of questions too, okay? So when you get the response from them, here's what else they're obligated to do. If you send it, and let's say you send it to the wrong custodian. Let's say you send a record to someone that they're not the custodian of. Okay, by law, if they know who the custodian of that record is, they're to respond to you with the name of that custodian so you know where to get it to. Okay, the second thing is if the records you asked for, if they don't have them, if they do not exist, if they do not have records responsive to the request, then they have to respond to you that the records do not exist. The third thing is there are exemptions to some records in the Arkansas Freedom of Information Act, okay? And overall, not a lot of exemptions, but there are exemptions. So if what you're seeking is exempt under the law, in other words, it can't be disclosed to you, then the custodian has to put that in writing to you and give you that exemption. They have to cite to you that specific exemption in the law that prohibits them from providing you that record. That was very important added language in the 2023 session that Joey McCutcheon, a big-time FOIA attorney, you hear me talk about him a lot, a great guy. He's basically responsible for that legislation. He actually wrote that, got Senator Alan Clark sponsored, and it got put into law. So it's some awesome legislation. Now, the thing to remember, so if they claim something's exempt, just remember, because they claim it's exempt doesn't mean it is. So you need to do your due diligence when they send it back to you and examine the exemption they're claiming and see if it's actually a good exemption or not. The other thing I want to go over real quick is they're required to provide you records, not answer questions. Okay, so if you're just asking questions, no entity is required to answer those questions. I'm just going to tell you they're not. You need to keep your request to records and information. Okay, now the big thing is be specific in what you want. You know, I use the term surgical. I'm trying to be surgical in everything I ask for. The more specific and surgical you are, the less work on you. I see people all the time that will send such a broad FOI request that they end up with thousands of documents. Okay. I don't want thousands of documents. I don't want to have to go through all of that. I don't want to look for a needle in a haystack. And so don't cut your nose off to spite your own face. Try to be as surgical and as specific as you can in what you want. It benefits you. That benefits you. The other thing is be nice. Be nice when you send the request. Okay. And keep in mind, I send requests to corrupt people all over the state. I send requests to people that they know I'm investigating and they know I'm about to expose them for corruption or violating laws or unethical behavior. But I'm still nice in my tone, and especially to the staff who are pulling the records. Keep in mind, when you send that request to a custodian, they're not the ones that are going to go pull that records. They have staff members that do that. Okay. And just because someone works for somebody who's unethical and corrupt doesn't make them unethical and corrupt. So try to really measure your tone, try to be nice. And so that'll get us through the day. That tells you just how simple it is to file a request under the Arkansas Freedom of Information Act. And so I encourage you, it's your law, so use it. If there's a record out there you want, send it. It's extremely easy. Now, as I continue this series, we're going to talk about the next one I do. We're going to get into exemptions and start talking about some of those exemptions and what they are. We're also going to talk about public meetings, which fall under the FOIA law, school board meetings, foreign court meetings, city council meetings, committee meetings, commission meetings, and so on, and how that applies. And we're going to get into more in depth in the Arkansas Freedom of Information Act, but we're going to start with that. So I hope that helped you. Oh, if you have any questions after watching this, put it in comments. If it's due to this, I'll answer it. If it's a little more in depth, then we'll take it up at the next video when I do this. But please, if you got them, put them in comments and let me know if this helped you guys. And so, hey, it's your law. The Freedom of Information Act belongs to you. So I hope you go out there and utilize it. Thanks, guys.